In this video, I am going to talk about what is the need of JDBC. But before that, there is a small controversy on JDBC terminology itself, because some people say JDBC is having abbreviation, some people say JDBC is not having any abbreviation. So let me talk something about it. In the initial days, JDBC means it's an acronym. That means there is abbreviation for it, Java Database Connectivity. But later on, Sun Microsystem has got some legal issues. So that's why as of now there is no abbreviation for JDBC. Now it is JDBC means what? JDBC, and it's a trademark. And that's why wherever you see about JDBC, you will see a term called TM on the top of the word, saying that it's a trademark, and that means you should not abbreviate the word JDBC. It's something like this. If you observe very carefully, in India we have one popular institute is there for CAT exam, for CAT examination. Its name is TIME. Okay, so somehow the institute has got some legal disputes with international magazine called Time magazine. Due to that, what institute people have done is they changed the organization name to T.I.M.E, and they framed some meaningless abbreviation. Okay, so similarly, when there is abbreviation for JDBC, Sun Microsystem has got some issues with other companies. That's why what they have done is, instead of saying that there is abbreviation, okay, they said that JDBC means JDBC, it's a trademark, no need to abbreviate anything. So currently, the version of JDBC is 4.x. So according to this version, there is no abbreviation for what? JDBC. But that is not our actual point. The actual discussion is why we need JDBC. Why should we think about JDBC? Listen carefully. You take C language application, C++ application, your core Java, that means basic Java application. We are using so many variables, we are using so many objects, we are using so many collections to save the data. The data that is coming to application from the user, the data that is generated by application, generally we save in different variables and different objects. The problem with this data is, as long as application execution is happening, no problem. We can use the data, we can manipulate the data, anything we can do. Once application execution is over, once the application execution is over, we'll completely lose the data. Why we lose the data? Application execution uses the RAM memory. You know that when application execution starts, JVM execution begins, and for JVM some memory will be given in the RAM, and in that JVM memory only all these objects, variables, local variables, global variables, all type of objects will allocate memory. And since you know RAM is a temporary memory, at the end of the application execution, whatever memory used for that application will be vanished automatically. When memory vanished, memory related data also will be vanished. Since memory is vanished, memory related data also will be what? Vanished. But what my intention is, I want to save the data permanently, so that I can use that data not only during application execution, even after application execution. Not only in the same application, I should be in a position to use that data in what? Other applications also. That means I have to persist the data, I have to save the data. For that purpose, we need to think about going for persistence stores. What here? We need to think about going for what? Persistence stores. First of all, let me explain what is persistence. The process of saving and managing data for a long time is called as what? Persistence. To do this persistence activity, definitely we need something called persistence store. Files are there na, in your system files. Where they allocate memory? Hard disk. If I write the data, it will be permanent or not? Yes. That's why files are the best example for persistence store. Next, another one is database software. Oracle, MySQL, MS Access, all this comes under what? Persistence stores. See, where they allocate memory? Even database software, internal uses files. So, files and database software basically allocates memory in what? Secondary memory device, something like hard disk. So, that memory is permanent memory. Once I save the data, until we explicitly delete, it will not be deleted. That means the data can be used by one application for multiple times, multiple applications for what? Multiple times. So, that means for persistence activities, we need persistence store. Okay. So, in this process, let me introduce other terminologies related to this persistence. So, there is a persistent data. Persistent data. It is the data that is there in the persistence store is called persistent data. In a file, we keep lot of data, that is persistent data. Maybe text data, maybe binary, images, audio, video. Anything that is written in file is called as what? Persistent data. If it is a database software, tables are there. In the tables, records are there. In the records, rows and columns will be there. That comes under what? Persistent data. So, then persistence operations. Insert, update, delete, select operations performed on the persistent data of persistence store comes under persistence operations. Inserting record in table, deleting record from table, updating record of table, okay, so retrieving records, persistence operation. If it is a file also, definitely what? They also comes under persistence operations. Either on file or database software, if you are manipulating the data of those persistence stores, definitely they come under what? Persistence operations. These operations are also called as Crud Operations or Crud Operations or Sucb Operations. Okay. Let me explain Crud. Crud or crude. Yeah, nothing but shortcut for representing. Shortcut for representing what? Insert, update, delete and select operations. If you read books or articles written by Indian, generally says Crud, we say Crud operation. If you read the books or articles written by foreigner, so he generally says crude operations. What operations? Crude. Indians knows what is curd, that's why they use word called curd. Foreigners don't know what is curd, that's why they use the term called what? Crude. Crude means, like crude oil, from there the word is brought. Whenever petrol or diesel prices are increased in India, central government says, it's not our problem. In the international market, crude oil prices are what? Increased or decreased. That's why those things are reflecting on petrol or diesel prices. So, I'm talking about that crude. Okay. So, foreigners don't know what is curd. That's why they never use the term called what? Crude. But Indians knows what is curd. That's why they use the term called curd. Generally, in company, TL or PL, TL means team leader, PL means project leader, assigns the work through mail. In the mail, after giving a certain use case, he simply says perform Crud operation. You have to understand, okay, in this particular use case, I have to perform what? Insert, update, delete, select operation. And you take any service sector project, I don't think there will be a project without what? Crud operations. For example, you take a hospital project, patient joined in the hospital, patient record should be inserted in the table. Patient has updated his phone number, or patient attendant has updated patient phone number. Yes, that is update operation. So, patient got discharged once problem is solved, or once disease is problem is rectified, or once he recovered from the problem, yes, patient he got discharged from hospital. So then definitely that record will be deleted from that ward related table or what daily activities related table, no doubt in that. And the doctor wants to know like list of patients that he has to treat today, treat on a particular day. For that purpose, select operation will be done. So that's why you take any service sector project, okay, Crud operations are quite common. For example, you take one more example, you take banking projects or banking application. New customer has opened account, insert operation. A customer has modified his address, update operation. Customer wants to check his account balance, select operation. Customer has closed the account, that means record will be dropped. So everywhere definitely Crud and Crud operations will be there. So what is C for sir? C is called create. Create means insert operation. U is called update. What is that? Modify operation. R is called read. There is select operation. D is called delete. Remove operation. Since Crud, Crud, this is given confusion, I created one more terminology, something called SCUD. S for select, read operation. U for update, C for create, D for delete. What is that? Remove operation. D for delete, remove operation. So this is about persistence operations. Now I would like to introduce one more terminology, persistence logic. The logic that can perform persistence operations is called as what? Persistence logic. In core Java kind of thing, C language kind of thing, you might have studied streams. Yes, whatever logic we write by using streams comes under persistence logic. File IO concept of C language and file IO concept of C language, core Java IO streams comes under what? Like persistence logic. So when it comes to Java, we use JDBC code to write persistence logic so that it can talk and manipulate database data, mainly database data. Even JDBC is even powerful to talk with files and to manipulate the data of the files, no doubt in that. But mainly JDBC is given to develop persistence logic to manipulate the data of database software. And if you look at advanced topics in Java like Hibernate, we can use that framework to develop the persistence logic. EasyID entity beans, yes, that also can be used to develop the persistence logic. JPA, we have EasyID entity beans, IBATs, all these are there seriously to develop what? Persistence logic. That's nice. Next, let me introduce persistence technology or framework. Persistence technology or framework. Persistence technology or what framework? This is useful to develop the persistence logic. JDBC comes under technology, that's why it is called persistence technology. Hibernate comes under framework, that's why we call it as persistence framework. And some part of industry also calls it as what? ORM framework. So if you observe all these terminologies very carefully, persistence technology or framework is given to develop persistence logic to manipulate persistent data of persistence store. Persistent store means database software. Persistent data means data of the database software. Persistence logic means what is the logic? Whatever code we write to perform persistence operations is called persistence logic. If I put what is JDBC? JDBC is a persistence technology to develop persistence logic for performing persistence operations on persistent data of persistence store. That means in the beginning of the video I talked about something like this. When we store application data in variables and object, once application execution is completed, we will lose the data. Did I say that statement or not? No, I want to use the data again and again. For example, in my application I gathered student details like number, name, address, marks 1, marks 2, marks 3. Here I calculated total and average and assigned rank for the student and it displayed on the monitor. Happy. Application execution is over. I lost the data. I am executing same application one more time. Do you think I will get the old data? No. Or some other application wants to use this data. Can I use that? No. That means I am losing the data. So that's why even though variables objects are there, no problem. But at the end, you try to save them in what? One or other persistence store. Like database software or what? File. For that purpose, we need to write some code by using one or other persistence technology or framework. So that is nothing but JDBC. So JDBC is required as a persistence technology to develop what? Persistence logic. Okay, especially it is given to interact with the database software to perform persistence operations on database software. But sometimes we can use it even to perform persistence operations on what? Files. So overall conclusion is what? JDBC is a technology using which we can perform persistence logic development. Let's observe in Java total how many options are there to perform these persistence operations. For example, if Java application wants to perform persistence operation on flat files, persistence operations on what? Flat files. Files, flat files, most are one and the same, but generally the files that are not specific to any technology framework, it's maintained by operating system, are called what? Flat files. We can say text files are flat files because they are not specific to any software setup. They are easily manageable by any operating system. That's why we call them as what? Flat files. So for that purpose, we take the support of IO streams. Especially we take the support of serialization and deserialization concepts. What concepts we use? Serialization and deserialization. The process of capturing object data and writing that data to a file is called as what? Serialization. Reading data from the file and constructing new object having that data is called deserialization. What is serialization? Technically speaking, it is not just writing object to file. The process of getting object data in the form of bits and bytes is called serialization. Once you get the bits and bytes, we can send them over the network or we can write them to file. If needed, we can write them to your shut pocket also. So serialization is not just writing object data to file. It's all about getting bits and bytes. Once you get the bits and bytes, one process is what? Writing to file. That's why serialization means what? Writing object data to file. But let me clear one thing. In serialization, object is not written to file. Object data that is converted into bits and bytes will be written to the file. Why, sir? Object can be written. Na? To maintain object, we need JVM heap memory. JVM's heap memory, definitely that is required. But file is going to allocate memory in what? Secondary memory device, and there is no question of getting what? Heap memory. That's why in serialization, okay, we get bits and bytes of the object and we write the bits and bytes to what? File. We never write object to the file, because file cannot manage the object. In serialization, we read those bits and bytes from the file, and we keep them in object as part of object creation. That means as the initial data of the object. Okay. No, I don't want to use flat files as persistence store. Then what is the option? So generally we'll think about working with what? RDBMS database software. Because there are many database management system, but the most popular one is what? RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. So here we have to take the support of JDBC. Mainly we take the support of JDBC plus some SQL queries. Now the question that rises in your mind is, when should we go for files as persistence stores and database softwares as the persistence stores? So when I say database software, generally the most popular database softwares are what? Oracle, MySQL, PostgreSQL, and etc. Oracle, MySQL, PostgreSQL, and etc. These are very popular database software that are there in the market. Earlier, Java big projects mean they used to use Oracle's. Medium scale, small scale projects in Java means MySQL. But somehow MySQL has come into the hands of Oracle Corporation. How? It is basically given by DevX company. DevX is acquired by Sun Microsystems. Sun Microsystems is acquired by Oracle Corporation. So somehow MySQL is in the hands of what? Oracle Corporation. I don't think Oracle Corporation will promote MySQL because they got their own commercial money earning database software called Oracle. Definitely they show what? Stepmother love on what? MySQL. The industry realized this. That's why as alternate to MySQL, especially in the medium and small scale projects, nowadays they are preferring to use what? PostgreSQL, which is open source database software given by a company called Enterprise DB, having almost all features of what? Oracle. Okay. But that is not our question. When should we think about going for files? When should we think about going for what? Database software. My conclusion goes something like this. Your application size is very small and it is having very less amount of data to persist. Maybe KBs, MBs, not big amount of data, not huge amount of data, very limited amount of data is there. But you want to see your application portable in multiple operating system, in multiple machines without having big headaches of installing big things. Then my suggestion is what? Going for files as the persistence stores. Suppose you take a single player game here. Per day it generates 10 KB data to persist, let us assume. To store that 10 KB data generated by single player game, if you take 1000 MB, 2000 MB Oracle database software, it's meaningless because your application size is in MBs, okay, and maybe 10 MB, 5 MB kind of thing, and it generating 10 KB data per day. To persist that data, you are using what? 1000 to 2000 MB what? Oracle database software, it's meaningless. Because of that, application sizes increases. So you know that front end is very important, back end is always there playing supporting role, no doubt in that. Back end is always there playing what? Supporting role. So that's why in those applications, I suggest you people to use files as the database software. I mean, it's a persistence stores. Generally in mobile applications, single player games, I mean small size games. So people prefers using files as the persistence stores. Then where to use database software? And you have a huge amount of data, and this data is going to come in bulk amounts every day, and you need a lot of safety for data. Okay. then definitely you have to think about using what? Database software. Almost all big size websites, all banking applications, all financial service applications, all insurance application, and in fact maximum Java projects use what? One or other database software as what? Persistence store. You know that from the beginning Java is known for developing medium scale and large scale project, that means complex and heavy projects. Generally small scale project development takes place either in .NET or PHP. So they may be using other alternate, but generally Java is known for large scale and complex projects development. That's why out of 100 times, 99 times we will see database software as the persistence store. Because Java projects are basically medium scale projects or what? Large scale projects, right? So this is how we have to think about working with what? JDBC to write persistence logic and to manipulate what? Database data by developing what? Persistence logic. I hope you got benefited with this session. Okay, so you can catch me in this particular channel for more videos. Thank you.